What's going on, Falcon fan? This is Warukundo coming back at you with another video. Today we're gonna talk about the Falcon Fan Talk Monday, and the Falcons still adding, pieces to their team, depth pieces. We're gonna talk about, one addition they had today to go along with the other moves that they have made already. We'll talk about how the Atlanta Falcons has to start to embrace their young talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball, especially looking at some of the moves that they made this offseason already. And then we'll just talk about, Grady Jarrett at the end. He gave his farewell, little video today, and we'll talk about, the end of an era. We haven't really talked about it that much, but we're going to close out the show today talking about Grady Jarrett. So, guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell so you do not drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys are here to talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come here and talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So, guys, like I mentioned earlier, Atlanta Falcons adding more depth to this team today, along with the other picks that they had already signed. They actually signed um, Contavious Street, a guy who's coming back to the team. If you guys recall, when Grady Jarrett went down with his injury 2 years ago, the Atlanta Falcons signed Contavious Street, who's actually playing pretty well. Then he actually went down on the injury reserve that same season. So, but they brought him back again this year, this following season. He played in the rotation with all the defensive linemen, and he's a solid depth piece for the Atlanta Falcons, and that's pretty much what we're seeing here from this team. They're actually going out, they're signing a lot of guys to their defensive front line to be able to rotate guys in and out, keep guys fresh. Um, you're not going to replace a guy like Grady Jarrett, unless you're going to go out and probably pay a lot of money for a veteran, or you get a prime guy in the draft. Like Grady Jarrett was drafted in the fifth round, so you just never know where you're going to find the diamonds in the rough there. But bringing in a guy like Contavious Street, I think this is a good signing. Also, bringing in Morgan Fox, another guy. Still got David Amayada here. So bringing in those veteran guys to go with the young talent that the Atlanta Falcons have is a good thing. They officially announced the signing of the other guys today. I know I mentioned that the guys was on the team already, but of course they have to finalize the signing. So they talked about Divine Diablo, Morgan Fox, Cardell Hodge, Mike Ford, and Contavious Street. All those guys actually officially signed today. So um, they're on the team officially. Even though we all assumed that they was going to be here from the jump. So, but this is what it's all about right now. This time of the off season, you know, um, Atlanta Falcons is just building around the edges, right? You want to be able to have a 90-man roster going into training camp. However you shake it out. You know, they only got 5 draft picks, so between the draft picks, and then of course they're going to go get some undrafted free agents as well to add to that pool. But this is where you start to understand that the Atlanta Falcons need to be what's going on 330. Atlanta Falcons need to start worrying about the depth, right? Um, Guys go down all the time. You need to be able to plug and play, keep guys fresh throughout a 60-minute game. And these signings they're doing, right? Contavious Street, Morgan Fox, bringing those guys in on that defensive front. Like I said, retaining David Yada. Those are the older guys that they got on this squad right now. But this is what the Atlanta Falcons need to do. All right, because of the Kirk Cousins deal, and they do not want to go back into a situation where they had so much cap tied up in certain guys. They want to try to be able to balance this cap, and I agree with that, right? Because moving forward, they do have guys that they knew need to sign, especially on the offensive side, and you don't want to get to a situation like the Dallas Cowboys where you wait till the last minute and then you playing top value for a guy. So a guy like Drake London that's coming up um, on his contract here soon. Atlanta Falcons can get that deal done early He's already going to be up close to 30 million or more because that's what the wide receiver market is going at. You look at what um, Jamar Chase just got, right? He's over 40, so you know that's where the line's going to start getting drawn there. So you got to be able to go ahead and lock Drake London in because you don't want the market value to go up even higher. Bijan Robinson is right behind him. Um, so those two guys you definitely want to lock up to keep that big three along with Michael Penix Jr. Now, luckily, Michael Penix Jr. is just going into his second season, so Atlanta Falcons got 4 seasons left. If they decide to give him that fifth-year option, right? So these are the things that the Atlanta Falcons need to start thinking about when you're looking at some of the signings that they have made. Right, it wasn't no splash signings like they did last off season or the season before that when you got a guy like Jesse Bates, right? Um, but these are signings around the edges, which where you put all the pieces together like a Lego, right? You build something could be real special, and that's what it looked like the Atlanta Falcons are doing. They're not done yet, so we know. So it's not time to start being disappointed or grading these guys or being excited about the moves they made because they're not even done yet, right? You still got the draft going on, right? And they still might make some moves in free agency. We just have to see how it shakes out. But going out and getting guys like a Kentavious Street and a Morgan Fox just really helps create and add to that depth of the defensive front. That's what we want the Atlanta Falcons to do. Now, interesting thing about this free agency period, it's a lot of free agents left, right? I know I came in here earlier before the tampering period started. I talked about all the free agents that was out there, and yes, a lot of guys have came off the board, but it's still some veteran free agents out there that the Atlanta Falcons maybe one thought they was close, they could do it. Like you look at a guy like Von Miller. Von Miller is still a free agent, right? He was released by the Buffalo Bills, and he's still a free agent right now. Do the Atlanta Falcons, waste their time bringing in a guy like that? I do recall back in 2016 they brought in Dwight Freeney, guy who's on the end of his career, but he helped develop a guy like Big Beasley, where we thought Big Beasley is going to take that step. And we went to the Super Bowl that year. They brought in Calais Campbell the other couple of years ago, right? That veteran president is good. So a guy like Von Miller, I'm not advocate for them to sign him, but he's still out there, and we know with Von Miller probably is going to be a Hall of Famer here once he hang up his cleats. You look at a guy like Matthew Judon still out there, Lorenzo Carter still out there. You start to think about our Atlanta Falcons going to start bringing some of these guys back to the fold as well. The Atlanta Falcons pass rush was not good, but towards the end of the season it started to get better. We did see that. We did see the pass rush start to take a turn. I think after week 10, right? I think the Atlanta Falcons was one of the best pass rushing teams from that point on, right? At one point in time, Atlanta Falcons only had 9 sacks. They ended up with like 31 sacks. So that tells you that they did figure it out. They just started to turn it on. That team that was here last year kind of got in their groove and started to put a mix in. You add a guy like Leonard Floyd in, you add what you think you're going to get from Braylon Trice, and then you add in what you do in the draft, right? You could maybe bring one of those guys back, like a Matthew Judon or Lorenzo Carter never really really got the quarterback. He was a really good run defender, but so those guys are still out there. It's a lot of guys that when you think about it that could could contribute around the edges, right? That's why they're still out there because they got question marks about their game, and a lot of these veterans that's still out on the free agent markets are trying to pick the right spots, right? Because at this point in time, they made their money. They're trying to go somewhere they could, compete for a championship. So that's where it is. So that's what I like about adding the depth. They got to do that. You want to be able to go to training camp with 90 men, being able to have guys that you're comfortable with, you trust. Bringing a guy like Kentavious Street in is when they do that, right? Um, I like the sneaky signing of a guy like Morgan Fox. He's always been a rotation big, but he has made a lot of plays He does have that familiarity with Raheem Morris as well. So this is where when you look at, you know, the relationships, things like that, you start to put the pieces together. And like I said, putting it together like that Lego, piece by piece, and then you come out with what you want your defense to look like in 2025. Get some of these comments. Gigi worth a damn. T T just got every dime. Yeah, man, those guys got paid. Those guys got paid. You said Aziz going to Philly, low key, a sneaky move. Fangio Pro brings the best out of him. Yep, man. Yeah, actually, that's kind of sad for Aziz, man. Only $4 million. I mean, his market could not have been that high, to get just a $4 million contract for 1 year. But he has been, dealing with injuries, and it's probably a prove it year for him. Just wonder the Atlanta Falcons even, you know, shake the tree on that. It was reported that they was thinking about trading for him last year, but maybe this is where he wanted to go with his fellow Bulldogs, and like I said, continue with the bringing the Bulldogs to Philadelphia. Maybe that's why he went there for such a low amount of money, but we'll never know, right? We will just never know. But yeah, I saw that Aziz, so he's off the board, one of the free agents that Atlanta Falcons could definitely potentially take. He was a younger guy that if he panned out, he could actually get a long term deal here. Him and Leonard Floyd, two Bulldogs coming in, and at one point in time, the Falcons they want to sign Bulldogs, so we starting to come around. And guess what? They might actually sign a Bulldog here in the first round this year because it's three guys potentially could be on the board: Michael Williams, Jalen Walker, and Malachi Starks. All those guys could be on the board at 15, and we don't know where Atlanta Falcons will have them rated, but they could definitely have those guys rated there. So, guys, that's what it's all about today, adding the depth. This is what this time of year is. You kind of want to fill out some more of your needs. I still think they have need at nickel corner, but maybe they don't think they have that need, right? Maybe they think Clark Phillips III is going to be the guy, and they don't have to, worry about the nickel corner position or the next other safety position. They might think DeMarco Hellams is that guy for that. So, they did add around it, add pieces around the edges on the linebacker spot. We just talked about all the pieces they add on defensive line. So that's where you start to look at and believe that the Atlanta Falcons are just going to add around the margins now and get ready for the NFL draft, where they only have 5 picks, right? So they got to nail this draft this year. This is an important draft. I was on record saying that this is probably one of the most important off seasons for Terry Fontenot because of the Kirk Cousins situation, um, because of the lack of funds that you have, the lack of draft assets that you have at disposal. So these are some of the things that Terry Fontenot got to be able to hit home run. Right, we can't afford to have him have a draft like he had in his first draft, where out of the 9 players they drafted, only 2 still on the team. We cannot afford to have a draft like that this year. So that's it is with the depth. Guys, let me know what you think about the Atlanta Falcons adding depth to that front seven. All right, the next topic I want to talk about is um, something that I think the Atlanta Falcons is starting to embrace, um, and we have to talk about it because at some point in time, your draft selection's got to start to pay off, right? This is how you build a team. Um, I know it looks unconventional what over there what the Cincinnati Bengals just did. They pretty much paid 2 number 1 receivers. If they end up do paying Trey Henderson, because report they're trying to work on a contract with him, they do end up paying Trey Henderson, right? They have 4 guys at over half of their salary cap, right? And unfortunately, I don't believe that that's a proper way to build a team, right? That's just taking too much salary cap on 4 guys. You got to build your team because if one of those guys go down, right, now you're sitting there with a quarter of your guy of your talent on the shelf. And then what about the rest of your team, right? You're trying to build around the edges and you pay just four players. So that is not how to build a team. Um, I think you have to build a team through draft. I think that goes without saying. You look at the excellent job that the Philadelphia Eagles have been doing over the last couple of years, and they're at a certain point where they can keep this thing going because they got so much young talent. Now they did lose some bodies on defense this year, but the pieces that they got through the draft, guys like Cooper DeJean, guys like Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, right? Um, Nolan Smith, all those guys, and Kobe Dean, all those guys are going to be back with his team. They all on the rookie contracts. They all young, and they can all help get this thing where it's going. So that's where you got to look at it. So the Atlanta Falcons have to start to embrace their young talent, right? Um, and this is the year where it's going to be really tested. And these are these guys' opportunity. A lot of times, some of these young guys don't get enough opportunity because they're playing behind, like a all pro like Grady Jarrett, right? They had Eddie Goldman here last year, who's no longer with the team. These guys gonna have the opportunity to prove themselves, and this is why you drafted them, right? You wanted to see that get acclimated after the first season and have that jump from year one to year two. This is the opportunity for them to do that. So that's what I'm talking about. I got a comment from Eddie Mills says, um, I don't know about Leonard Floyd. I don't think he's the answer. The way he's looking right now, we still didn't address the edge position for real, for real. Yeah. I don't think he was like the end all be all. Um, I think he just a piece to just a piece of that puzzle for the pass rush. So you're 100% correct. Leonard Floyd is 32 years old. He might be. I was talking about bringing in the veteran like Von Miller, but Leonard Floyd could be that veteran. But he has still been productive since 2020. He's never had less than 8 sacks. So if he give us that number 8 sacks, he'll be the leading sack guy for this team. In the last couple of years. So that's what we're looking for Leonard Floyd to, bring that leadership present that he has um, with the team, and then show his production at least the 8 sacks that he's been given. If he can do that, I think it's a win-win signing for Atlanta Falcons and for Atlanta Floyd. So that's what I think about it. But you know, this is exactly what I mean by we're not really want to count on Leonard Floyd, right? You got to look at guys like a Zach Harrison, right? I think if Zach Harrison is going to take off, I think this is the year that he's going to take off. He's going to get a lot of playing time, right? This is his time to show that he can do some things, right? Zach Harrison. You look at a guy like Ruka Roro, guy that they drafted last year in the second round, right? Grady Jarrett's gone. Ruka Roro is going to get a big opportunity and to show show his chops, right? This is his moment. These are the guys I'm talking about. Guys like a Brandon Dorless that never really got his opportunity as much because he was all the way down on the depth chart. A lot of times he was inactive through the season. So Brandon Dorless going to, I feel like he's going to be active a lot this season, and he's going to have to be out there and he's going to have to produce, right? Show some of those skill sets that he showed, why he got drafted, they coming out of Oregon. Those are the things we want to see. And then a guy like Braylon Trice, right? Guy that we didn't get opportunity to see because he went down um, during the training camp period. And from what I seen, guys, when I was out there, they only had 2 open practices last year. Um, in both practices, I like what I seen from Braylon Trice, right? Um, this guy, it's not going to kill you with the physical traits like, in the underwear Olympics that they have at the combine, but his motor, his relentlessness trying to get out the quarterback, it was definitely showed up on tape, and you can see that already. Um, the production he was going to be able to provide this year. We don't know how he's going to be back 100%. Coming off the injury, it's almost going to be when we start training camp, almost a year from that injury. So hopefully Braylon Trice will be where we need him to be and be able to be productive. So that's what I'm thinking about when you're thinking about a guy like Braylon Trice. But you got guys like Armor Ebiketie going into his contract year. Um, can he deliver? That's the thing that we want to see from guys like Armor Ebiketie. You can see him starting to come on at the end of the season. You love that. See, can he take the next step? I mean, this is a guy that called himself the sack doctor, right? And he just ain't really living up to it. 4 or 5 sacks a year is good, but getting drafted in the second round, you expect more from him. So that's where you're gonna go. Yeah, I mean, you go across the rest of the team. You look at the young talent. You look at Troy Anderson. Troy Anderson is coming up to the point where can he stay healthy? All the things that he was able to do from athletic standpoint, he showed it in glimpses so far. But the problem with him, he's not being able to be healthy, right? So that's the problem with a guy like Troy Anderson. Maybe if he stay healthy this year, maybe we can get something, out of that athletic ability that he has. Clark Phillips, it's time to see is he going to be that nickel guy. We haven't seen a Falcon bring in another guy. They haven't talked about bringing back the offer. So is Clark Phillips going to be the guy for the Atlanta Falcons at the nickel position, right? Um, this young talent that's on this team can can and hopefully they start to bring buy dividends for this regime because Terry Fontenot, you put all your stock into these draftees and then they don't pan out. Eventually, you're gonna get let out. You're gonna get out the door. It's just simple as that. Now he's been hitting gold with the first round picks. You know, besides Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts first year, and I just talk about this. I know a lot of people are down on Kyle Pitts, right? But for being like the fourth to fifth option in the offense and having the production he had, I think that was solid. Maybe this is not the team for Kyle Pitts because I don't ever think he's going to be featured like he should be. Um, but if Kyle Pitts was featured as the one and number two guy, I think we would see the numbers that we expect from Kyle Pitts because he's just too athletic, freak of nature, being able to do some of the things he do once he get the ball in his hand. Just for some reason, you know, it could be his lack of route running, showing laziness, not coming out the breaks enough like that. It could be all that, right? But that's why it was important for Raheem and Terry. Know it's up to Kyle to be as great as he want to be. Um, throw away the number 4 overall pick, but he has the talent. So another young guy on this team, right? You got guys like D'Angelo Malone, who was lost until this last upcoming season. This guy came in, he actually played really, really well once he got his opportunity. And that's what building this team through the young talent is going to be all about this year. All these guys going to get opportunity, right? You look at what Raheem Morris was able to do when the Los Angeles Rams, didn't have first round pick for like 2 years in a row, maybe even three, and they was able to get guys in the later rounds, and look what those guys have turned into, right? That's one of the best young defensive fronts in the NFL. And so you have your blueprint right there. Raheem came from that. He know what it takes to get the young guys to start to be productive and make plays, you know, on their rookie contracts, because that's how you build your team. So um, that's what these Atlanta Falcons look like. That's where they're leaning into. I don't think it's such a bad thing. But how long is Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris going to have this leash? I mean, Atlanta Falcons going into their 8th season without a playoff appearance, and the loyalty of the fans it has not wavered, but we don't want to go back to the old ways where the Atlanta Falcons can't can't keep a winning season. I mentioned this other day about how many winning seasons the Atlanta Falcons had back to back, and it have not been many. And we're starting to get back into that trend where Atlanta Falcons can't even have a winning season. So that's what we need to start doing. I mean, the last 4 seasons, Atlanta Falcons have been under 500. Very disappointing. All right. I know a lot of it had to do with the quarterback play. So you're not, you know, excusing, the effort that they put on the field. But if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a lot. So we're definitely going to say that. T. Terry says um, they got Zach Harrison gaining more weight to be a future nose tackle. We'll see what he's able to do. That's a big man. Zach Harrison's a big boy. AK has to take a leap this year. It's a must that he does. I agree with you 100%. Well, you know, this is contract year, so this on him. You want to get paid, you got to deliver the goods. And honestly, even if he was to go Wiles out this year, somebody gonna overpay for him because it has not been sustainment, and that's what's going to probably end up happening. So if he was to go out, just say Armor Epic have a 15, 16 sack year, somebody gonna overpay for him. Is Malone still on the team? Isn't is his contract? Nope. Malone is on the team. Him, Armor Ebikadi, Troy Anderson, all those guys came in under the same contract. So they're all in their fourth year. Malone, Troy Anderson, and Armor Ebikadi. So we'll see what they're able to do. We'll see what they're able to do. But guys, when I look at the young talent, like I said, across the board, offense and defense, um, the Atlanta Falcons have opportunity. You look at it from an offense standpoint, um, this could be one of the most explosive offense in the league next year. The way Michael Penix Jr. spin the ball, just outstanding. Kyle Pitts, can have the season for the ages, going to his contract season as well. And then Drake, Bijan, Darnell Mooney keep doing some of the things they have been doing. Right, you got a guy like Ray McLeod, also had a career year. So this could be one of the most explosive offense in the league. It really can be. But only thing thinking about is that offensive line. They did lose Drew Dahlman. Ryan Newsel is more than likely going to be back. We haven't heard anything. They already tendered him, so team would have to actually match it for the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons have opportunity to match whatever team was offering him. So I expect him to be back. But do you want to be satisfied with that? Maybe they need to go get some depth, especially in the draft or even in free agency. So that's what we're thinking about the offensive line. But from an offensive standpoint, the sky's the limit for this offense. They talk about the offense that the Cincinnati Bengals is going to have. They talk about the offense that the Eagles have. Talk about the offense that the Ravens have. The Atlanta Falcons potentially can have a really, really explosive offense. If we, believe what we saw in Michael Penix, and he's going to take his jump as well from year 1 to year 2. Could just be a really special year from an offense standpoint for these Atlanta Falcons. So with that being said, you go to the defensive side of the ball. I mentioned some of the guys already. Um, this is what the Atlanta Falcons seem to be leaning in. They're not going out a lot, balls in the wall, signing, exorbitant contracts for players that, could be past their prime. Now, we did want Trey Henderson, who's 30 years old. You know, you gonna have to pay up probably over 35 million a year to get him anyway, but it would have been worth it, I believe, because this guy was proven veteran. Being 30, still think he probably got like 4 more years of success before he started to fall off, and that would have been really good for the Atlanta Falcons. So but moving forward, building to the depth, that's the mindset it seems to the Atlanta Falcons are taking the approach of, and at the end of the day, I think at some point in time you have to do this. You got to see if your draft picks were worth it. That's where they're at now. You know, and let's see what happened. Gearbox says um, Garrett Bradbury has been released by the Viking. It has a relationship with O-line coach. Right, yeah, right, exactly. So yeah, that could be the center. Correct. I agree with you. That was already mentioned earlier. You know, do they really want to go out? He got a real good relationship because it was his old coach back. He was in college, so that's a great point. Got a really got he got a real good relationship with him. Um, and I think it would be an upgrade for Ryan Newsom. I'm just being real with you, being honest about it. I do think it'll be an upgrade for Ryan Newsom. So great point there. I agree with Conda, and we even more deadly on offense this year because got that boy Kirk on the bench, ready to light them motherfuckers up any given time. Yep. A lot of people saying, and I just want to say this. We're gonna have a lot of time to talk about it, but and I don't want to make this correlation because I do believe it's a difference. But when you're looking at the way it happened, right? Um, Desmond Ritter played the last 4 games of the season, what 2 seasons ago, right? And we like what we saw from Desmond Ritter, right? We really did. And then so we go into that season, everybody, including myself, was so hyped. Um, I mean, you even got a vote of confidence from, the owner, the general manager, everybody was riding with Desmond Ritter, said he's the guy, he's the guy, he's the guy. A lot of pundits said that the Atlanta Falcons need to look somewhere else because they didn't feel like that. And then lo and behold, Desmond Ritter probably he put up a triple double, right? 12, 12, 12. 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 12 fumbles. All right. That was a bad season. So I'm saying that to say Michael Penix only played 3 games. And I get it. So the jury is still out on Michael Penix. I understand. But from what we've seen, it's a big difference. And I just want to say that it is a big difference. All right. Um, he has not proven himself 100% yet. I agree. Right. He only had 3 games, but from what we've seen, the maturity that he's shown, the way he spin the ball, the throws that he made, that the throws that Desmond Ritter couldn't make, Marcus Mariota could not make, Taylor Honey could not make. I'm not gonna say Kurt, because Kurt made some plays in the first 9 games. He just fell off a cliff. But these Michael Penix Jr. in his 3 games showed stuff that we haven't seen in a long time. So that's where the optimism come in, and not like being a Desmond Ritter kind of move, right? Desmond Ritter played 4 games. We got a small sample size. Michael Penix played 3 games. We got a small sample size. But I do believe that the Atlanta Falcons have found their franchise quarterback. Yes, prematurely because he only played 3 games, haven't even played the entire season yet. But I like what I seen from him. I like the poise. I like the time on, the precision timing passes that he had. Um, the mobility that he showed, being able to change the lunch points, in the pocket to get the ball out, so not being a statue. Everything that you want to see from a young quarterback, he showed in those 3 games. Now, of course, teams going to get film. They're going to start, watching him play. But I think this guy is going to be a winner. And the pieces that around him, we know he's not shy of throwing that ball down the field with that arm he has. So I just like it. Um, you said F around and throw for 5 beans. You and the That's right, man. Uh, Kurt might end up going back to the Vikings. That would be interesting. Out of all the teams that's out there, I would think that that's the most team he's more comfortable with. The Minnesota Vikings, right? But the Minnesota Vikings have to cough up some draft picks if Kurt goes back there. Just saying, he he gotta really put some put some what's names out there. So you know I'm not going to sit here and say that that we're ready to just release Kurt. Nope, not happening. He's here to stay for right now. Right, that's where we're at. All right, guys. The last thing we'll talk about. Please let me know what you think about the young talent. Atlanta Falcons look like they're going down this route. Expecting some of these young guys to play really, really important snaps for this team this year. Right, it's all about the coaching, getting these guys ready, developing these guys. That's what OTAs, training camp, big out. They got to speed up these guys. Um, prospects process, man. They got to speed it up because these guys definitely gonna be needed this year. All right, last thing I wanted to touch on, I told you guys was Grady Jarrett, right? Um, just to close out a chapter with Grady. He posted his video today saying goodbye to the Atlanta Falcons fan. Um, and it was, you know, summer sweet what we seen from Grady. 10 seasons with the Atlanta Falcons. You know, he 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 really gave a really good example of what it means to be an Atlanta Falcon, right? You thought maybe that he was going to do just like his dad, Jesse Tuggle, and actually retire here as an Atlanta Falcon, but unfortunately, with the business took its place, and Grady was not able to stay. That's just how simple it was. But I just want to end the show saying that Grady Jarrett um, is an era of when the Atlanta Falcons was on the uproar, right? You go back from 2008, right, um, to 2016. You seen the Atlanta Falcons on the uptick, right? Atlanta Falcons went to two NFC Championship games, went to the Super Bowl during that time, right? Probably won more games than they had won, in that span a lot. Grady gets here in 2015, right? We go 8-8 that season. The next season we go to the Super Bowl, and from that point on, you've seen Grady Jarrett um, really become, the Falcon that we liked, right? Guy who was drafted in the fifth round. I mean, just think about his draft story, right? House burns down on draft day. He get drafted by his hometown team, the Atlanta Falcons, and then he spent a decade with the team, right? The heart and soul captain of the team, laid it all out, just like he said in his video. But ends an era. Only one person left on that Super Bowl team that's on this team right now, and that's Jake Matthews, right? Mr. Iron Man himself. Everybody else is gone. So, just want to tip my head off to Grady. You know, I do believe he's going to be in the Ring of Honor when it's all said and done about the contributions he made. Good luck in Chicago. You know, go out there and take out those Lions and those Packers, and let's see what you can get done, man. But I just wanted to say that about Grady before we leave the show today. Congratulations on your new contract. You deserved it. The end of the era for the Atlanta Falcons. Hope you taught some of these young guys something before you left. Let's see what Root learned from Big Grady Jarrett before he got out the door. Great. Terry Terry said, "Good luck to Grady in that cold air." Yeah, man, that snow and stuff. I don't know if he's gonna like that. He's gonna miss playing that in that dome. I bet you that. I can guarantee he's gonna miss playing in that dome. Even practicing, he I think you like the hot rather than you like the cold. You know what I'm saying? So, 'cause at least you can cool off. When you're cold, you're cold. So we're gonna see. But guys, that's your have it today. Thank you guys for tuning in to Falcons Fan Talk Monday. Atlanta Falcons still filling in the roster and the depths that they got. The Atlanta Falcons look like they're leaning in on the youth of the team. Hopefully they can build from within. Building through the draft, building with the young talent they already drafted. Hopefully, guys can take the next step forward. And then saying our final farewells to Mr. Grady Jarrett, Mr. 97 himself. And just like Arch says, you shall not pass, right? There you have it. Last comment here. About said the Falcons paying $33 million for two quarterbacks in 2025, and and 20 million in 2026. That's a steal. 100%. 100%. You know, and everybody crying about it, but you're right because yes, we got the most expensive backup quarterback, in the league. But guess what? We still ain't got the most expensive quarterback room in the league. So and you gotta love it. It's just flip, right? We got the young guy that's not making that much, in front of the guy that's making a lot. But the question is, will Kirk still be here to start the training camp? That's going to be the question. All right. So there you have it, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in today. As soon as the Falcons make more moves, we're definitely still talking draft stuff. Getting into the draft is closer and closer down the road for us. We'll see what the Atlanta Falcons do. Um, but there you have it. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.